Alright then, we'll do one more phase, and now we are gonna be doing cleanup and establishing control and making sure the city is secure. So once the back of the enemy resistance is broken, what would you be doing, Vivian?
Vivian would be gathering up the, trying to fix up the masquerade effectively. She's going to pick up whatever contacts the Sabbat had, which is how she found a lot of them too. Start, giving them an alternative from, serve the previous state of things, basically. To lead them to better times without horrible things happening all the time.
Uh-huh. So these would probably be the people with you. Off the top of my head, they're the ones who have the most contacts readily available. What about the Ventru? You don't necessarily have that much in the terms of political power. What about you? You have small private army practically. Through the fighting, you would have gotten turncoats, and I will go over these in this part as well once we're done with the cleanup, more or less. Don't think the Malkavians had... Actually, Bobby Sanders. He has been sneaking around whenever he could and picking up secrets with mind reading. There. Halfdan, how are you consolidating?
I was thinking of, well, one Malkavian left, but I was thinking of using, Malkavians and Nosferatu to try and search high and low for anybody who might have sort of hidden or stayed low in this entire thing. So basically just sweeping the area out of anybody who just tried to hide.
Okay. Yeah, the Malkavians that are already with you would be happy to help. And let's see, you would probably then actually meet one of the neutrals, the Samedi Turncoat, who would know a lot about where people might be hidden, and would happily lead you to those places, as proof of his new loyalty.
He's sometimes very surprised when apparently the leader of the little group just suddenly gets a random thought of where another person is in. Turns out he was almost right, too, all the time.
He just assumes you had a Malkavian once.
Congrats. He thinks you're a Dopplerist.
There is one area in the city that probably a couple of Camarilla went in there, and it was like they came back with slashes across their faces, and just like a message pinned to one of them with a stake driven through their shoulder, probably. Like, this, and this neighborhood is mine. Stay the fuck out.
I don't appreciate the way this one talks.
So rude. Okay. So you're cleaning up. Percy, how are you consolidating?
I think Percy would seize the assets from the Sabbat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing.
No, financially, he will take the property, the weapons, stuff like that, and take it for himself.
Okay. Probably you would be backed by your own clan in this. At least I'm assuming. And that's why most of you, including your child, have resources. In non-zero amounts. Let's see. There would be another turncoat that's supposedly independent, but he lived in a fucking Sabbat town, and he's a fucking ravnose. But he he would certainly have shown up at one point to, you know, introduce himself and, you know, pledge his loyalty to the traditions, etc.
I'm fine with that. I will be more fine when I discover that he has a good amount of money and influence.
Mm-hmm.
Fine with that.
Let's see. Yeah, she probably wouldn't want to share that. In terms of Sabbat resource, you would have come across this guy as well. And on occasion, there are transfers of large sums of money to him. And whenever you came in contact with him, he would happily offer his services in turn in helping hunt down the remaining Sabbat, as his clan often does. For blood or for money, depending on the target. Okay, and what about you, Jackalor? What would you be doing to consolidate?
What would I? Probably like. I mean,
Keep laughing. I'm going to delete your token.
I'd probably be trying to essentially secure the area around the chantry and, you know,
Okay.
make sure my resources are you know, available.
His clan is so disappointed in him.
I think we all are disappointed in him.
I didn't pick up any domains, so.
Yeah. Essentially, that means that the area around here is one of the last to be truly secured. Because there's... Here, the organization goes down the deepest in watching you and controlling you and making sure that things are horrible for you. It's like random wards placed in alleyways kind of thing just to fuck with you. Just in case one of the Tremere is running down that alleyway and, you know, so they can run into a mystical wall.
Who
But,
placing those wards?
For cleaning up the area around here, you would probably be using your own clan, so that would essentially mean that you're in contact with them. In terms of actual occult consultation, all of you would have run into this guy. He's the local librarian. He would have been actually the one looking shit up and being cool about things. Doesn't mean he's not a cunt, but he's not a recluse, you know? And he recognizes that being self-serving asshole is sometimes best served by being a team player.
I was gonna ask if he was the one who had higher status than Jackalor, and surprise, surprise, he is.
He fucking is. He has double Jackalor status. Everyone locally, compared to Jackalor, everyone fucking loves him. Neonates generally have 1 or 2 status here. I think 1 or 2 ancillary level people might reach 3. So he, being at 2, he's essentially one of the elite locally. Other than you guys, of course. He's more or less on the tier below you, in practical terms. Well, other than Jackalor, he's...
Yeah, other than Jackalor.
I mean, he wouldn't mind being made the new regent.
You can't do that.
Why
You know,
not?
once they torture you enough, you will do the ritual to transfer over the control of the wards to him. It's only a matter of time.
Besides, I believe Wilfred also has much more knowledge on trebuchets as well. He's an invaluable asset.
I mean,
pretty
what
sure I
what
have
if I
better
make
academics than
you
him.
deathly afraid of magic? You will want to get rid of any connection between you and it as soon as possible.
Fuck you.
Holy
I'd rather kill you.
epic.
He, Wilfred, has 4 in academics. He not only has seen drawings of a trebuchet, he has seen schematics and remembers them in detail.
Oh, I will make a ballad just for him.
Well, so we already know if Chakalor starts to be inefficient and shitty, we replace him with Will.
Yes.
I mean, he's already been inefficient and shitty, so I mean, I think it's high time.
Fuck you guys.
He did some good stuff on the past, and we can always sell his head for someone.
Fuck you guys.
Okay,
Fuck you guys.
I
It's
need
not our fault.
to
Yes, it is. Totally is.
see. I think there. How many Diablerists did I put in? Who did I mention?
have
I
one
mentioned the
for you.
Bruja. I mentioned one of the
Malkavians.
Alex?
one of the
One of the
Malks, one of
Tremere.
the
This
Tremere.
girl.
Her.
Gretchen?
Did I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
someone on my team did it, and she was on my team, so.
Gretchen
No,
Jen.
it wasn't Gretchen that ate.
You did say that name.
it
so
was-
You know.
It was Michelle that ate a dude when Jaguar Chantry was under attack. The Tremere.
Michelle Chambers? She wasn't on
Yeah,
my
yeah.
team.
Michelle
She wasn't on
Moran.
his team. Yeah. You did say she was part of his team, and we didn't know the names off our top of our head.
Ah,
You did say Michelle. You said a female name. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but you
it was
have-
Michelle Moran. She's one of the Tremere.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Like, essentially the way it happened, she had enough auspex to see through the obfuscate there, and she just ended up going for the throat.
Oh, her.
Yeah. She's your radar, essentially.
I'll just note that down.
I can add that into her bio, I suppose, at a later date. Though I think Jackalor and the Tremere, well, the people that were there are probably the ones that know outright. I don't think the... Ah. There we go. Michelle Chambers did. A different Michelle. That would have probably been while protecting the Mel girl, after being damaged and drained of blood enough.
So nobody on my team committed the
So
No,
the-
Michelle Moran did as well. There are 4 Diablerists. The Nosferatu, the Tremere, the Malk, and... the Bruja.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. The only clan that is a player clan is the Ventrue, did not Diablerize anybody.
I mean... Maybe I should rectify that. Let me take a look at their personalities. But no,
Gretchen
I
looks like someone that would commit Diablo, right?
I did take a look at their personalities. I don't remember the specific reasoning, but when I was working on this, I was essentially thinking of how could this have happened, what circumstances would those have been, and now we've essentially overwriting those for the most part, but yeah, she would have essentially been forced to do it.
Gretchen?
No, not Gretchen. I'm talking about the fucking Nazi. Gretchen is fine.
Okay.
It doesn't fit her nature to go for it. Not in the kind of shit she was involved with. I'm just sticking to the people I had pre-selected for this.
Yep.
For reasonings. Okay, so for consolidating. Let's see. Give me Charisma Leadership Epic. This isn't for establishing your own contacts. Those are going to be based on the backgrounds you bought. These are for determining just how completely you eradicate any Sabbat influence.
Okay. I'm guessing base difficulty, right?
Yes. Actually, Enchanting Voice would apply for this.
Oh, okay.
So make it a 4.
3 instead, then.
And you were looking for people that were hiding.
So, perception investigation, right?
Yeah. With the help you have, you will find the spots. It's a question of if you get there quickly enough.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not the best in perception, that's why I'm relying on the Malix and whatnot. So, difficulty 6?
Yes. Difficulty 6.
Nice.
You know what? You end up running after a couple of them once or twice to the city borders, but essentially, yeah, like, you are able to make sure that whatever organized resistance remained is scattered to the winds, if not outright destroyed.
Good.
And that leads us to Sir Alan Percy. So, what do you have? You were trying to make sure that Sabbat assets were seized. This is once again going to be a matter of stuff getting transferred based on background buying, but well, this will determine how thoroughly you eradicate any sort of influence they have. Or weapon caches, as the case might be, or anything else like that. So what do you guys think?
Maybe a finance roll?
Maybe.
Yeah, Wit's finance might be good if he had finance.
That's why I have a child.
So, what you're saying is you need to talk to your child. Just
He's
Grab it.
already helping, but you're taking the lead. So
Wits?
yeah, just give us a straight wits roll at 6. You're not gonna get penalized for not having the skill, cause others in the group have it.
Yeah.
You know what? There's probably a box or two of shotguns somewhere in the city that you missed, but you probably got most of it.
Yeah, just shotguns. I mean, these fire weapons are not reliable.
Those shotguns are so gonna come and bite us back.
Actually, let me make a new file for whoopsie-doos.
Hey, I got complete success on my part. Elimination of most of the influence in this city with the more
Same.
social stuff.
Missed some arsenal stashes. There we go. Noted it down. Excellent. So, when we pick up the actual game, it will be essentially a couple months after the start of the attack, more or less at the point you've reached when organized resistance has been crushed and there are a few remnants, and the real work of establishing proper stability begins.
Cool.
So,
Sweet.
first Elysium meeting, people introducing themselves, swearing fealty, etc., crap like that, expelling people, assigning domains if you choose to reward someone in particular, etc. Also,
By the way, in case you don't know, Bacon, your domain rating is infinite.
in theory, yes, his personal domain is like 6, because it's a matter of direct control and familiarity versus what you technically own.
Yes, that's right, technically.
But yes,
I know that technically all the city is mine.
yes. Yes, essentially, what we should wrap up with is probably the discussion where you decide who gets to claim Praxis here.
You should probably move us to the map.
I'll use the room. Actually, the Archon would, at this point, essentially leave and tell you to decide who should be in charge, and that someone else at this point is going to be handling the city and coordinating it with its neighbors. So the question is, other than you four, who gets to sit in the room when this is decided? Are there any NPCs you want to bring inside?
Biggest issue with these
we should
NPCs is we don't have info
might
on
want
what these NPCs are.
We might want to bring one of the Nosferatu into the Primogen Council.
Michelle is the most experienced of the Nosferatu, I believe. She is
Who?
respected by the others and has some status, so she would be the one that ate a bitch.
Yeah.
He's the one that was with me
Is
the
it
entire
Sergio
time,
Perez
so.
that has the domain?
He does, yes. But that's because he spent his free time cutting anyone that came in there and making friends with all the hobos, and the Archon was like, fine, as long as you keep keeping them out of here, you can have it. You've done good so far.
Cool. Yeah, we should probably have Michelle on the Primogen Council.
We need a Malkavian up there.
You don't need to bring up the entire council in this conversation either, but you certainly can. You know which of the Toreadors is the one that you have an in with, Epic.
Yep.
So it's up to you which of them you feel is useful. Andrew provides blood dolls and is good at dominate. And Derek was good at what Derek has. He knows how to move in high society, and his face is known there. He can get his calls answered essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcella.
But
Marcella is excellent at presence. Probably once or twice she helped someone summon someone back after a fight when they were running.
I think Derek. Either that or he'll be. Or we'll grant him a.
Actually, Marcella does have a merit which you might know about. Give me intelligence politics, those who have politics.
Cool.
Aye, Captain.
You don't need
I
to
have
roll, you already know Epic.
Okay.
So who does have
Difficulty?
politics?
Yeah, but
Oh,
I have one. But with difficulty?
Just 6.
Just normal. Yeah.
Aw. Creative? I don't think it applies.
No.
Yep.
Both of you remember someone saying something about her sire being a primogen of another city.
I mean, for my
Yeah.
character, I would probably, for the Toreadors, support Andrew since he worked with me. So I probably have the biggest trust in him if I wanted to support him.
Like,
I mean,
right now, this is the shadow government meeting. You don't need to bring everyone who's in the official government into this. This can be an in-character discussion of who gets the empty seats. You just...
Oh!
Yeah, this
We're
is...
doing this in character.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a matter of, are there any NPCs you want to invite to be on the inside of the insides? You know? Like, are there anyone you want to keep extra close? You don't have to include anyone else if you don't want to.
This actually, in a way, isn't about the Primogen, even though that's just part of the conversation. This is really about
The
all
real
right,
rulers.
Do we want to invite others?
I was just giving my opinion on who we should put up on the Primogen Council. Is that said and done?
There are a
Don't worry.
couple of weird clans as well. There is an elder none of you have met face to face in the city. He seems to respect the traditions, but mostly he just, is like, leave me the fuck alone.
We could ask
If we
him.
had to go for the others, I would probably have supported Charlie Briggs because he seems to also know a lot about the city since he seemed to be here a lot. And he did help me in previous line of task.
I don't think we should add him to the inner group.
Yeah. I can see the
Doesn't sound like a
reasoning
great
on
idea.
both sides.
I can see why you'd want him. I just don't think it's a good idea because his loyalties are suspicious.
I wouldn't worry about knowing the city. We'll know the city well enough quite quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that the Nosferatu would be very useful on the inner council.
She
I
is one
agree.
of the few people that is Ancilla level in terms of agent experience.
I would definitely support her into the council.
The only reason I would have any kind of, withdrawals about that is actually just because she's a Nosferatu.
Yeah, but that's
usu-
also her positive.
It would just be dependent on, to be blunt, this means we are definitely letting the Nosferatu clan in on these meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is a... If you do this, it's a clear message. You are on the inside here. The problem is they are then on the inside and you can't get rid of them that easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
We're
you
going
try
to
that...
we'll probably want to be close friends with the Nosferatu anyway, so it will be a good way.
There's a difference between being close friends with the Nosferatu and letting the Nosferatu know everything about anything.
They
Yeah,
will
I think that-
take advantage of it.
They will.
Mhm.
There's no problem with that. And even in character, Vivian would raise an issue with this because, well, they will fully take advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that if the Nosferatu already know everything and have nothing to learn about, their core principles are shattered and they go frenzy.
I mean, they will just try to find out even more about your personal dealings, Bacon.
Yeah.
That just means they're not trying to figure out what went behind these doors. They have all the
Yeah.
other doors to look at.
That's literally allowing them to let more of their resources go just to do other things. I don't have much approval of this.
But
I
think
mean,
of it,
I'm not
if
sure this
Michelle
was
ate
that much
Vivian
fun.
next, she could get 4 dots of Auspex and lower her generation to 8.
Look, I like her as a character well enough, but they are Nosferatu, and I'm not doing them the disrespect of underestimating what that would mean.
I don't want to underestimate them either. It's just that it will be useful to have one nearby.
Who are you thinking of as a sheriff? That might be a good person to include in these secret meetings, actually.
Yes,
Yes,
that would be a
that
very
is
good one.
true.
I vote Archie Briggs.
I was about to say, he
I-
might be an obvious candidate.
No.
Come
I
on.
mean,
Jackal
I
was
would
like,
vote Kristen Hines.
who is he? All these names.
She, you mean?
She.
She helped defend me.
They-
She
Of course I would be a
did,
fan of her.
but she is a lot younger than
Yeah.
Archie. Archie is more or less at the beginning of what you properly consider Ancilla. She is still in the neonate bracket pretty solidly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
give us a quick rundown of combat-based Ancilla, or if anyone else wants something more social Ancilla, but we need somebody with a decent amount of power, is what I'm saying.
Kurt Wade he has presence, he can even dominate to some extent. I think that would have come up in a battle somewhere. And
Yeah.
But he's Bruja, with everything that follows
that's
from
his
that.
own problems.
yeah, I don't think
That's not a bad thing. In fact, I actually highly approve of this.
Yeah, I support
Yeah,
either
but it's-
Archie or Kurt, so you guys decide. My votes are on
I
both.
would say Kurt. I would say Kurt because it shows the Bruja do have a very high position in the city.
Yeah. I mean, I'd vote him over Archie every day.
What do you think about that, Bacon? Because the Bruja clan dislikes you, and having a sheriff that is iffy with you could create a lot of friction.
I mean,
It could also help mend the friction that you do have with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if not with Kurt,
Just depends what you do.
he knows his capabilities and Kurt probably know his, so I don't think that would be that bad, but it may be a problem later.
Just
It's up
tell
to
the
you.
spy master to keep an eye on him.
Something to remember. We are more or less giving you suggestions, not...
Yeah.
The problem is, if you deny them, there could be other issues.
Like, you can veto any decision the group makes. It just pisses the group off.
Yeah, but the point
What
is,
about just other character? Well, not other. Just other character. Who's Thorbrand?
Thorbrand is the dude that you don't fuck with. He's the elder who just says, stay out of my territory.
I mean, we could try offering him a position.
You want to
But I don't
offer
think
the
that's
guy
fair.
a position that...
He's certainly combat capable. He's one of the few
I
elders
don't
in the
think we
city.
want that though.
I think he will kill you.
Yeah, that's the problem.
yeah, let's not give the position to the
I mean,
random violent elder.
Charlie Briggs is excellent at combat. You could make him sheriff. I
What
think
about the
I'm actually a bigger fan of that than I was of, bringing him to other pieces in here.
the Assamite?
That'd be an interesting thing.
the Assamite is... Charlie would rat him out as being relatively inexperienced and mostly busying himself with killing mortals for the Sabbat rather than actual vampires. He is essentially a neonate Assamite.
You guys want to bring Jimmy Stewart in as the sheriff then?
Oh, what, the Ravnos?
Yeah, the Ravnos.
One of
That's getting
you,
vetoed.
whoever was with Halfdan, after you saw Byron eat as a Mitzi, you actually would have seen him bonecraft a bitch's face and rip it off.
Who bone-crafted a bitch's face?
One of your
Is it
Malkavians, Byron.
No.
My Balkavian bone-crafted a bitch's face. Was that Byron? That was Byron, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is also very experienced for Neonate, essentially sitting at 50 XP or so. Plus what he got from Diablerie, potentially.
Well, he's actually getting he's actually basically an Ancile.
I don't know how I counted this out and whether I counted the vicissitude dots for freebies or whether I gave them to him for free or whatever, but yeah, he has Auspex and he has Obfuscate. And vicissitude goes a damn long way.
That is a really good combo. I put Byron fourth.
I don't.
Because you don't know his derangement yet.
Not just that, I have a thing against vicissitude.
It's fine. He did it to help you. That ghoul was gonna stab you in the back.
First he went to eat a bitch, then he just bone crafted a bitch's face.
Holy crap, I gave him like 10 dice in that. He's a vet in his normal pretend to be Hume life. Like a fucking night vet with vicissitude. Okay, so the horse is fine. He looks slightly different. Don't worry, it's a slight upgrade.
I put forth Byron as sheriff. He will make a very good one.
Let me
He has,
drag out into the other
ability.
room the shortlist. So Byron, Archie, I think Kurt was one, and
Yep.
who else? Michelle?
Maybe Andrew.
We did talk about Michelle, but not for sheriff. That was for
Yeah.
Primogens.
Would we want Andrew as sheriff? He has dominate and shit.
Yes,
Campbell?
but he also focuses a lot on building up a public herd. He clearly has a plan in this, and he would probably do the job because it offers status and stuff, but he's not necessarily the most combat capable, and he might not be the most grateful for receiving the position. less so than some
Yeah.
of the others anyway.
Is there any other ancillae to be aware of for their, well, or almost ancillae that would be
Sergio-
good for this?
Is Sergio Perez a fucking Ancile, or is he a neonate?
He's a neonate. He's more than just a bare neonate, and he's good at killing things, but he is still a neonate, essentially. But he is good at
That's
killing
probably-
things.
I don't think he's the best option, honestly. Yeah.
I am
Not really.
not going for Byron. I'm just gonna keep on the two Kurt and Archie. You guys do whatever.
Okay, let's go.
What do we know about Billy? Billy Luna.
Billy. Who is he?
Ventru,
Adventure.
Billy.
He's younger and, generally speaking, more focused on the social aspect. Less finance, more high society and dealing with people.
He could be useful.
Good
Could
at
do it.
presence, not so skilled necessarily at dominate. Useful as a
He
tool,
could do it.
but
It's
Yeah.
not possible, but I would put him on a lower rung compared to a lot, because a social sheriff in some ways isn't what we want, at least initially, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's why I'm mostly
we'll
leaning
need
to
one
Kurt,
with,
which is a mix.
let's see. Tyrone here, another Malkavian, is top end of the neonate bracket at another 50. Good at fighting, strangely enough, and infiltrating. Not so good at people.
He makes a fine sheriff.
One of the things he would have done throughout this would have essentially been make stuff like traps and custom-made crap.
Cool.
I'd see him like closer to more of a scourge position than a sheriff, actually.
Sure.
Okay, so let's put him on the second tier down. Bobby. Bobby is slightly less experienced than Tyrone, not by much, but he can read minds. What else? Also, can never tell if he's lying or not. That isn't always a good thing.
Yeah,
I think
no,
he makes a
he's
better
not.
whip or something than
Yeah.
Okay,
if we decide to
Leslie.
do any whips. So
Leslie is actually a dominate Malk. Barely any real experience, but good at dominate, good at dealing with people in general, though more on the manipulation side of it, of course. Strange obsession with clowns. Makes people look at her weirdly.
I don't think we want a clown
Wow.
for a sheriff.
nah.
I mean,
Yeah.
appearances
Also,
are still a
she's-
thing.
She sounds a bit too young in general too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's see, Volda LaRose. She is young, good at people, but more interested in essentially making people happy than she is at
No
necessarily.
go on the sheriff.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
might be interested in being a harpy if you ever had subordinate harpies, but sheriff wouldn't be her thing. She would happily take Primogen probably though, for Malkavian.
If she wants it and I don't have a reason to deny her, might as well.
Though there are more experienced Malkavians, of course, so...
Experienced Malkavian does not mean make Malkavian Primogen.
Uh-huh. There is a Bruja who is, well, exceptionally good at making things, apparently. Who is in the other pile, because she essentially was an independent. Not...
Okay.
Vinita Johansson, or?
No, Mary Wright from the other spy, like I said. Because she's one of the
Oh.
ones that essentially swore fealty
You
to the
have
new
two other
regime.
piles.
Do I?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
The
that
other
wa-
and others.
other under local. Because that's your local
Yeah.
others. This is just
okay.
traveling elders and the like. Which I should probably rename at some point.
Okay.
You do have a Kieseed in the city who is quite happy to stay here and consult you on the things that you don't necessarily know about. In terms
Cool.
of, you know, occult knowledge. Just powerful enough to be annoying to dislodge, but not powerful enough to be a threat to anyone, really.
Nice to meet you, Pamela Bell. I like that name.
Mm-hmm. Sure. We can go through clan by clan. I assume, Jacklord, you're not willing to sacrifice one of your own for sheriffdom.
No. Not this
Okay.
time.
Among the Bruja, Kurt is the one that's actually experienced. The others are neonates of varying experience. The Toreador are of roughly equivalent XP. Actually, Andrew is at 75. Never mind. Let's see, Marcella is a very experienced neonate, essentially, and Derek is the youngest and least experienced there. So, Andrew would probably be the logical choice for the one who ends up in charge. By default of that clan.
Yeah.
Among the Nosferatu, Albert and Sergio are about equal in terms of experience. Different focuses. One is more about traps and bullshit, while Sergio's about killing things. And Michelle, well, she's good at people. She's good at masking herself and pretending. Probably once or twice you saw her do a distraction in just the right way.
Probably Sergio, but, like, I don't think we're gonna select him. He seems too young.
And then
Yeah.
there's
For-
Archie, who has the advantage of actually having thaumaturgy.
Mm-hmm. It is legal as well, I will note.
Yeah, like he did. This isn't the first anti-Sabbat fight he's been in, and he has got that permission from the Tremere to learn it. And he is good at fighting, so he can fly if he has to.
Oh,
Real
remember,
quick,
the player characters can also be possibly Primogen, if we're talking about that.
Yes,
Or Sheriff.
it's easier to
I don't think
avoid that because it essentially optics. But yes, you can certainly claim primogenship if it's when people start stacking titles that people go, I mean, sure, but it just adds an extra bit of iffiness to their perception of you.
Just a quick question for our local Gangrel. Alvin, would you want to be sheriff?
I was thinking of actually being Primogen.
So you want Arky to be sheriff so you can be Primogen?
I think Kurt would be a better choice as far as sheriff is concerned.
I mean, well, as much as I would want Archie, if we're going for a logical standpoint, Kurt fits much better because he's good on both social and combat side, and he's still experienced.
Yeah.
Kurt,
so.
yes, but Kurt is a violent asshole as well. Not that necessarily the Ventru disapproves, because he's a violent asshole too, so you're probably impressed by it. But you would have seen that side of him. He is the kind that just hit the goal on the head. Tell us where they are. Hit him again. Tell us where they are, you know? Not even bothering to try and dominate at first, you know?
I approve of this. Go ahead.
I mean, a side note, if you guys
Kurt can
really
be the
want me-
sheriff.
Yeah.
I will keep my other Malkavian as a hidden assassin for everybody else.
God. You know I'm going to report this. Because...
Halfdan would probably be the one that saw it, so it would be up to him how far that spreads, probably. The other mounts would
Yeah,
probably
I am-
tell Vivian, but...
I mean, I'm
Actually,
pretty
but
sure
yeah.
we'd all inform each other of any diableries.
Yeah. And I'm also going to mention that Byron has vicissitude and diablerie. Very disturbing.
I'm asking mainly this of Epic. Do you want to tell of the diablerie committed?
Oh, sure. One of my escorts defended me, and in the course of doing so, ended up diablerizing somebody. Most unfortunate.
Yeah, it was probably one of those fights where it was essentially kind of starting to go south, then one or two people frenzied, and at that point, that was enough to tip it, kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
During my fights together with Kurt, he also diabolized.
Okay, so you're ratting everyone out? Are you ratting out Michelle? I will say that
Yes.
there were probably only Tremere around. You could keep this hidden.
No, not banking on that one. Michelle Moran also committed the other in the course of duty.
Okay.
Okay,
Who
so
was the
you would
fourth
all
on the
know.
venue?
Michelle, Byron.
Lyron, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, both Michelles, Kurt, and Byron.
Yep.
All
Both
known
Michelle's.
diabolists now.
I'm going to suggest that we keep an eye on them just in case it turns out that they have gained an addiction.
You come
I'm
across
sure.
a corpse crumbling into dust. His arms have been flesh crafted to the ceiling. I
I'm
wonder
sure
who
they-
did this.
I'll make sure that they don't do anything too bad.
They don't do anything bad.
I'd
Diablo
ask
is a-
Vivian extra nicely to maybe check in a little bit better with Byron. Last we know, he fucking makes a vase.
He still needs to buy 2 levels of Assistant before he can make the attempt, dummy.
Also, he needs to get an animal on 5, doesn't he, if he wants to control it?
Not necessarily. It's
I
just
Remember, rolled against
trickier.
that. So, yeah.
Having the combo
We did.
disciplines and multiple 5s or 6s makes it a lot safer and a lot easier. The bare minimum is Vicissitude 5 and Animalism 1. And then you can use the Blood
Okay.
Bond to control it. It's just tricky as fuck.
Fair enough.
Like a leash of spider silk on an attack dog. Sure, you're technically in control, but how much control do you really have there?
Yeah. So, continuing on. We have, I think we have a choice for sheriff then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've put Kurt forth. Kurt shall be
Yeah.
joining
Yep.
us in our inner sanctum.
Okay, interesting decision. You might have made the right decision. I had a lot of crap planned with his abilities that he could do if life took his own devices.
Yeah, we want him under control and under our watch, as well as giving the Bruja say in important matters, because otherwise they'd be calling us out on that all the time.
I mean, he already
Don't
has a
worry.
street gang organized, actually, so yes, you did good on bringing him in. He's already started building an army.
Exactly.
So now, 2 clans that hate me have some representation here. And I think they.
I mean, you can
Not-
veto the nomination of the Bruja and just go to the next best choice, Bacon. You are the prince.
No, Actually, I would prefer the Bruja because
It makes
I
you
fought
look
with
less like a racist asshole,
Yeah.
even though you are.
like me a little bit more, the clan. So
It's not so much that they will like you as that they're invested in propping up your regime for self-interest.
Exactly.
yeah, what happened 100 years ago?
Don't worry. I'm just surprised that we're letting this Tremere dude come into the inner council. He might be an elder, but still.
He's a cock, yeah. I vote for Wilfred.
Okay. So let's see. In terms of who is probably
Oh,
gonna
not
be
fair.
in charge of clans by default, Kurt is probably gonna claim Bruja primogenship just because he's so far ahead of the others.
I think that's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
That's up
And
to him.
I think the others would respect him, especially since he had convinced the Ventru-hating asshole to make him sheriff. That would actually raise his cred with his own clan immensely.
It probably would. Whether or not this is a good idea is for him to find out.
Actually, I just remembered, yeah, with that nature, he wouldn't even hesitate.
What have we made? What kind of monster have we just created,
That's
guys?
simple. We're letting him do what he wants.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
Damn you,
also on
VTM.
our
Andrew
It's
is
better.
probably...
Chris!
Yes?
You were talking about an anarch presence possibly being started up.
Not my fault.
You know, as far as the Anak presence is concerned,
I don't think that's actually too much of a big possibility right now.
yeah,
with,
someone is
the
just
Bruja.
gonna essentially bully everyone into believing that the system needs to be changed from the inside, and fuck the crazy gangrel.
So, Bacon, I wish to congratulate you. We have avoided anarchism.
yes.
Hey, one disease avoided.
In terms
now,
of
actually.
the Toreador, Andrew is probably gonna end up in charge, probably because
Probably.
Marcella is less interested in direct leadership. Marcella, by
I
the
was
way,
actually
does
gonna-
have... She
I
does
was
have...
going to talk to Marcella and ask if she wanted to see about doing anything.
You
So,
could probably
just so you
try and
know.
convince her into it. I'm talking about
No,
who would
no.
end up in charge by default if you do nothing. You
I
can
was
still
actually
argue
just going
this.
to see if she was interested in it or not. If not, no.
Not much.
I think I'd... Yeah, I think
Nope,
I'd
not gonna bother.
if people start asking if who we should support.
Andrew's fine then.
yeah.
He wants to be there.
Michelle
good.
is gonna end up in charge of the Nosferatu. Demi, of course, for the Gangrel. Gretchen, I think, is noticeably the most experienced Ventru, so she would probably be in charge there. Including of your child, in theory.
Hey.
And as far as the Malkavians go...
Who says they want the Primogen seat?
Leslie would probably want to be in charge, but that doesn't mean the others would follow her. Tyrone doesn't care.
Okay.
Jeanette. What does Jeanette care about? Jeanette wants to do her own thing. Byron. Let's see.
These
Byron, he could be talked into it. He wouldn't necessarily go for it himself, but he could be
No.
talked into being primogen.
Vivian, no. Vivian,
Don't
stop.
don't give power to him.
Please
Look
don't.
how bad could it be?
We already eradicated the Diablerist. Come on.
Okay, so you mentioned Valda wanted to see about doing it, though. Possible.
Walda might, simply because she feels like... essentially it's a way of recognizing her as setting the direction for the clan, which means that she would be in a position to make everyone else's unlives a little less miserable.
You know, you've put me in the spot, haven't you? You've put me in the spot. Do I proclaim Leslie as going for Primogen? Because then we have a clown on the seat of Primogen. And that's
Leslie,
amazing.
Valda, and Byron are the ones that could be talked into it. Leslie outright wants it, but she's also the least experienced. Valda would be happy to take the lead because she feels like she has a lot to teach to the clan in general. Byron would see it as public service, probably. I'm giving all of this to you for free because you are excellent at perception and you have immense aspects and would have spent time with them, of course.
Totally. And eidetic memory, so even if it's been some time or anything since some of the stuff, it's
Yeah.
perfectly rememberable, so...
So these three are the ones that might end up in charge of Clan Malkavian. It's a coin toss between them as it goes, because it's the Malkavians deciding amongst themselves, and they're gonna be arguing back and forth anyway. So probably... they will probably arrive at a thing eventually if left alone, but it's a three-way tie at the moment.
Okay,
More or less.
Because it matches with my character a lot, though, I think she would back Valda particularly.
I think Leslie should be.
You like the idea of the clown being in charge of the Valk
He
stuff
wants to
too?
be the clan. Stop. It's obvious.
He's
Come
trying
on,
to
pick one.
sabotage the Malkavians. I vote for Byron. He has a good arrangement for Primogen Council meetings.
No.
No. No.
Do I know about his derangement yet, or not?
Probably not.
Okay.
I will... You have a lot of occult, Havdan. Give me a perception empathy roll. Difficulty 8.
Why me? Okay then.
You
Perception
worked
empathy.
with him, I think, the
Fuck.
most. So you would have
Yeah.
been in a position to notice.
Whew. Nope.
Nope.
You have no fucking clue.
Don't worry, I put forth Valda.
Yeah, like, you would have been invited to those meetings, so... God damn it. Give me Charisma Expression, difficulty 4. If you don't botch, if... Let's put it this way, if you get at least one success, you can tip it in her favor.
I think he's gonna get 5. Jesus Christ.
Oh my fucking
I
god.
lead this meeting forth.
Wow, well,
I'm
actually...
surprised they're choosing you as the Primogen.
Holy crap, Wald actually had a point of status as well. I'm just gonna up her to 2, cause this kind of ringing endorsement, the news will spread.
By the way, charisma is, what was it? Let's see. Eloquent. I am very eloquent. But you know, I'm very eloquent.
One status from Vivian's endorsement. We're not gonna say this is necessarily an official boon, but she feels like she owes you. I'm just gonna note it down on her sheet. She feels like she owes you.
Sweet.
So, essentially, consider yourself as having +2 with Walda on top of the clan thing. You're a bro. She wouldn't risk her own life necessarily for you, but she would hide you in her cellar, short of that.
Yay.
Okay, so Kurt becomes sheriff then.
Help us all.
And handout. Visible to everyone.
Why aren't you in this room, Demi?
Positions.
I didn't even notice I wasn't here. I am now
Apparently
present.
we left Havdan out.
I'm now on the table.
So,
No, I'm on your lap.
so does everyone wish
I
to
have
bring
a
the
plan.
Earthbound into the Rolling Council? There are benefits to this.
No.
You know where there's that. I would be a fan of bringing Earthbound into here if we know who he is and what he does.
What?
Is he worthy of being here?
I also agree.
No.
I think that actually
As Tremere, as a member of Clan Tremere, a cult consultant of this council, I say we should not do it unless we want to die horribly.
I mean, you
I,
have enough occult jacklore to know that deals with demons, unless you actually become a thrall or forced to worship it, can be beneficial. You just have to be careful as fuck. And you can use them to your own ends. Sometimes.
I don't like that sometimes.
I vote for banning Jackalore from our council and putting the.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh, the prince has just put forth that he's banning him from the council. Okay! Everyone,
Surprisingly,
force the vote.
Surprisingly, for once, I'm going to agree with the Ventru.
What the fuck?
We're gonna say that being able to essentially allow this invasion to take place essentially allowed Jackalor to cash in a major boon with the local Camarilla, and that's why he's on the council in the first place. So you can't throw him out. He bought his way in.
Damn it.
They have a permanent seat on the security council. Or he does. Not necessarily the clan, but he does.
Yeah.
You can't just fucking ban him. I won't allow him. I mean, it's... I understand your reasoning. I sympathize. I truly do, but you can't.
I mean, we talk about having enemies in this council, and I'm pretty sure we all know where the biggest one is.
I mean, here's the thing, though. We have to have Jackalor on the council, right? But we really want a Tremere that's more competent. How about, we've already met Wilfred, how about we try and get Wilfred in here as well? Fuck what Jackalor says, eh?
Well, we do need a Primogen from the Tremere.
It would probably be often, or almost always, overlapping with the Regent.
Yeah.
Though it doesn't have to be.
Up to the Prince.
In fact, it's actually not even often the Primogen that's the Regent. In fact, they often send somebody else as Primogen.
It's
the
true,
Regent
but
is
he's
apparently busy.
librarian. He's librarian. He's very busy.
He is essentially in charge of maintaining the books, yes.
Yeah.
Usually the most social Tremere is actually sent as Primogen, from what I read in their stuff. So.
Yeah,
That
generally.
would probably be Leonard Grant, because he is the essentially dude that's like, hey, this city is actually gonna have a social life. I guess I can accept that transfer. Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, I guess that would be our Tremere Primogen. How old is he?
Not very.
Good job. You represent your clan very well.
Well, he has like 40 experience, so he's most of the city is young, so he doesn't stand out in particular.
Okay.
He's that stuff.
He's alright then. We'll have him as Tremere Primogen.
He's probably gonna be... Well, actually, Valda is gonna be the most inexperienced Primogen.
Yeah, but she's Malkavian Primogen. That one is always weird.
Now I have a question. Well, actually, have we finished all the Primogens, or are there still many more that we have to go through?
Bruja Primogen. No, that's Kurt. Kurt
yeah.
Yeah, that's Kurt.
Kurt saw Leonard as the representative when... I think he would still be seen essentially as Jackalor's proxy. Because of the way Tremere clan works.
Yeah.
He would essentially be the dude that actually
would
goes
be.
to the things.
That is how it would work. He's more of a proxy, but that's fine. The Primogen can be a proxy.
Let me drag out who the current lineup for Primogen are. And there's Walda. Who am I forgetting? Gangrel? No, Gangrel are represented. God damn it. Andrew.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, that's Torador.
There we go. These are the fucking Primogen.
Oh.
Sweet.
So you have an idea as who your council is gonna be.
Oh, we're missing one?
Why? There's 7 clans. Unless you wish to give the independents a collective representative.
We
I
could.
don't see why not. That doesn't seem like a bad idea.
It makes it possible for the votes to die.
You hear
What?
Setite in town?
You don't have a Setite in town yet that you know of.
Aw. Can't have a Setite on the council.
I mean, with how it's kind of up to the prince to a degree on this, because doing this would definitely be more of showing more of a democratic lean than anything.
Mm-hmm.
what my common sense says of that.
If you give them a council seat, you're never getting rid of the independents entirely, for one, and it might attract more of them very easily, because they will see themselves as being actually respected here. You might want to do something like wait until La Sombra and the Tribute show up and give them a seat and fuck off with independents that you don't like and just keep them on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it could be doable.
From your point of view.
Possibly.
That seems a very good idea.
You do, however, already have a Kia seed, who is a La Sombra bloodline.
I mean, I would. Do I have to roll an intelligence occult to know their relations between the Kiazid and the La Sombra?
I mean, that would be intelligence politics.
Okay.
Oh,
Can I roll
even
that now, please, before he makes a terrible decision?
You can roll intelligence politics, both of you, to know how the main clan relates to the La Sombra.
Well, nope, I don't know. Nope, we don't know.
They get along perfectly fine. You haven't heard of any troubles there.
I have 1 dot of occult. Can I try?
it's politics.
It's politics.
I have politics too.
Then you can certainly roll intelligence politics.
Please.
Double check, make sure I don't got like 2 points in there. Oh, I do have 2 points in politics. Okay.
Like, stuff between major clans, anyone would be able to roll at your age, but...
The little girl who has only 4 dice wins. Good job, guys.
You've heard of some tensions there. They aren't necessarily kill each other on sight, but they might have been in the past. It's Cold War-ish as best you can tell.
Okay.
That being said, it might be different between the Antitribu and the Akia Seed. Because the Antitribu have to make
Wouldn't
do.
surprise me.
I mean, you could just invite Gianna Sire over. He could be your pet La Sombra.
Yeah, we could do that.
Until he goes back to Springfield. I could go into that campaign and copy him over.
But,
Well, suitably adjusted.
I will put forth the motion of putting somebody to represent the...
yeah, I'd agree with Pamela. That's the Kia seed, right?
Yeah, that's Pamela. That's the Kia seed.
Would you want to be on the on there though? They do have a tendency to be recluses, but I mean, I'd support them simply because, hey, why not? We have something in common, you know.
There's reasons why not. There's reasons why. In fact, I've been thinking of all the reasons why and why not on all of these things, and I am a very big on the approval.
She wouldn't necessarily be seeking out or advocating for it, but if offered, she would, after thinking about it for a few minutes, accept, essentially.
Sure, we can have the Kia seat on the council.
Looking at the other independent.
Okay, so the more traditionally minded Camarilla dudes, Archie's just in the park like, they did what? Fuck these assholes. What did we fight for?
Wait,
So
Archie is
what
traditional
happened?
Camarilla?
Not really necessarily, but he wouldn't be happy with keeping so many of what used to be an enemy just a month ago around.
Oh, sure. Sadly, Vivian is a big fan of that. As long as they pass through some investigation on her part.
What kind of investigation?
She's going to be checking auras, getting used to how they are, and basically seeing what type of people they are.
Pamela would be essentially an ancile, for reference. Not necessarily a strong ancile, but an ancile.
Does she? By the way, just a question. Does she like radiate any evil? Like is she on humanity or something? Or
I think I have her set at a 3, so I probably intended her to be on humanity, just humanity that has been worn a bit thin due to Sabbat and having to deal with that shit time and again.
Oh, we have the same humanity. She's fine.
She's fine.
It feels perfectly normal to Jackalhor and the Prince.
Epic. I rely on you to increase her humanity, man.
I'm sure we'll have some talks. It's fine.
Then it's all right.
We can play that out once we actually start the session 1 proper, Jackalhor.
Okay.
But...
Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
You don't read recent diablerie on her. She seems fine. Mostly semi-reclusive. Has her own place. Please don't go in there, etc. But perfectly willing to get along. She doesn't really care who's the president as long as her rights are respected.
Well, now she has a very straight way of providing for her own rights.
Yeah, and she's first against the wall if the Sabbat ever come back against the reluctance. Okay, now one last thing we need to wrap up before we finish this, because I think we've worked out enough for you to start with. Our next session is languages. What languages would each of you know?
Well,
I
within
think
the
I
round would
will.
know.
I think I will be essentially assigning like 3 or 4 to each of you, and let you pick another 1 or 2 on your own. How about that?
I think we already did.
Works.
Yeah, I think that works fine. But I think we already said I would know
We-
at least French.
Yeah, we
But yeah,
looking ahead, we decided what you might end up with or mentioned, but we should work it out specifically now. So, and I'm gonna assume that you have kept well enough up with the languages to make yourself understood, even if with a accent, to modern day speakers.
yeah.
Except for ancient Greek. Because that shit is a completely different language.
Yep.
So for you, Jackalhor, how about French, English, Latin, and ancient Greek?
Yeah, sounds good.
Vivienne, French, English, probably Spanish since Spanish colonies were around a lot, and potentially Dutch.
Sure.
Halfdan, Swedish, of course, French, English, and definitely Spanish because you were in the South a lot.
Fair.
And Percy, definitely English and French. Let's take a look at your timeline. You were just around... You know what? You were fighting a lot in the south, so Spanish as a third, and you I'm just gonna let pick... Well, you might know Latin, like medieval Latin, because you were educated as a noble.
Yeah, I would say that
You probably would.
Latin.
Okay, so I guess you can pick a 5th one to round yourselves out on top of that then.
I'd probably choose Spanish due to being so close to due to being so far south.
Okay. What about you, Epic?
Yeah, but
For extra languages?
Yeah, for a 5th on top of the 4 I just essentially assigned.
The places near there. I'll be honest, I'm really tempted to know Russian or German.
Either
German
one of
sounds
those
fun.
works. Consider this last one a free pick, essentially. Like those 4 should
like
essentially cover the ones you would know. Definitely. And then you can pick something extra on top of it to round it out.
I'll say German, just because, well, I like the idea.
Yeah, you might have traveled into Germany at one point, or your sire might have been German at one point.
Either way.
And that leaves us these two.
Me.
So,
I'm definitely picking German because I was in Germany.
okay, German then. Right. And Bacon, you still need a fifth.
Yeah, I would also pick German because his land on France was actually on the German border.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so we have an idea as to what languages you would know starting out. And I would probably let you buy new ones, provide enough time passed in-game with XP. And just, use those to converse if that ever comes up, though. Hell, you can find languages in common as is, and just, fucking communicate without anyone understanding you. Probably.
I just wanted to ask one question, since this might be one more actually government position, but that's really up to, because I remember Jackler had one. What about, is it too early for Bacon to choose a Scourge, or does he even want one?
Scourge, Scribe, Whip, there's all kinds of them. But we got official positions that needed to be filled already done. So
Scourge is essentially driving out the undesirables. It's the difference between... Oh, God, fucking damn it.
It's the guy that kills things versus the guy that punches things.
It's like Gestapo for internal investigations is the sheriff, and the SS is the fucking Scourge demi. There you go.
I know.
There is only one vampire that is officially able to actually kill others without too much of a reason, and that is the sheriff.
Yeah.
Everyone else can get punished really heavily. The sheriff generally is the one in charge of that, so...
Did you mean the Scourge?
I'm basically asking because this is...
Sheriff. The Scourge doesn't get to kill people. That's not a position that lets you kill
The
them.
Scourge is usually picked only by the prince, right? That's like his personal choice, or...
The Scourge is essentially if you have so many caitiff that you decide to start a purge, demi. It's cultural conversion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to culture convert to Ventru, you're gonna need a Scourge, okay?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Also, keep in mind, as a potential reward, as a bone to throw to other clans, especially the ones that are lower in number, giving someone embrace rights, even one extra vampire, could go a long way towards establishing a certain amount of goodwill.
Yes, it can.
So, domains, positions, and embrace rights, like, right away those are your major carrots that you can start handing out. And this has like 40 vampires in it, the city I mean, right now. It can probably handle up to 100 without completely imploding, but that would be a tight fit. 60 you can probably fit semi-comfortably, so there is some room for a few extra vamps here. You're not right at the limit of the numbers you can sustain. Alternatively, you don't need to embrace new vamps. You can invite vamps in from other cities, try to bolster other clans that way, and build up a presence of the groups you want.
We could invite a Nosferatu. We could let the Nosferatu have embrace rights. They're pretty
You're
few.
assuming there aren't like 6 Nosferatu already down there and they just picked the one that's officially just embraced from those 6. Like, you're the best. You get to come out onto the surface now.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly.
Yeah, there's probably more truth to it than you'd think. That there is probably some illegal vampires around.
Oh, totally.
Especially with all the war and stuff.
There are, but given how it was run tightly enough and your group was population-wise focused in small enough area that most of those are Sabbat remnants. The others pile are the people who have essentially introduced themselves and expressed a wish to come over, either because they were on the edges or because they've made a deal that benefits them.
So let's see.
What deal did the Ravnos make?
Mostly he was never that aligned with the Sabbat. He was independent, so people look at him funny, but they're willing to accept him. He wasn't on the inside. The Samedi, in particular, and the Asamite were the ones killing shit for the other side.
So you're saying that we could probably go and abandon Ravnos and nobody would lift an eyebrow?
Do what to him?
Nothing.
Rude.
We just need a Casus Belli to go and abandon Ravnos, right?
Let's see. So.
He owns like half the city, Jackalor. He's as rich as bacon.
Oh my fucking god, what the fuck did the Ravnos do?
He mostly stayed out of trouble and he earned money. Lots of money. Money!
Yeah, I think you want to expel the Jews. I mean, Ravnos.
And that's why the economic collapse happened in New Orleans around this time. We already covered this.
I
think Bacon will agree that expelling the Ravnos sounds like a good idea.
Later, not now.
Yeah,
I need to first get a way to see assets.
Yeah. What did you guys think the Scourge did? It's not that actually good of a position or anything.
It just meant to exterminate the undesirables, from what I know.
Yeah, that's basically it. Generally not even viewed as a very good one, because a lot of people hate you when you do that.
I mean, Jackalow treated them as a second sheriff, but that's the specifics of an asshole prince making that the Scourge that powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, good thing that the prince is not an asshole, right?
You know, the Bruja Primogen / sheriff would agree. You're certainly not an asshole. With that look in his eye of, I'm already plotting your potential downfall if you fuck me.
He just doesn't have to, he just not fuck him, that's all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, Scourges are just official canon right here. Scourges are often considered sellout Uncle Toms and lapdogs for the corrupt Elder Cranks. So it's not a good place for somebody to be a lot of the time. So
Okay.
It can give you influence with the prince you wouldn't otherwise have.
it does help you with the elders. It does do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
in their
so I think we can wrap it up here.
Totally.
And in 2 weeks, we actually start the play of talking with individual NPCs and stabilizing things outright. The Sabbat, with the civil war and being hit in many places, you probably have at least a few years before they are able to come back in force. So build the fuck up while you can.
Yeah, we are going to build a wall.
Good job! Now that's what you win an election on.
I didn't know we had the prince was an elected position.
I mean, he is and isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna end the recording and the stream here. Thank you everyone for joining us.